Yes, sir. Anthony Rutherford in the house. What's up, dude?
Not much.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm good, man. Long time coming here, this interview. I've been thinking about podcasting for so long, and I've been thinking about all the people I know. Your name definitely is at the top of that list with people who own and operate local businesses here in the town we kind of grew up in, right? And so I wanted to definitely start this podcast. It's called Community Connections, and I wanted to basically bridge people who run and operate businesses and do big things here with the people and the public that live here. So that way we can kind of sort of, let people know who's working here. Let people know what things are going on, how to join it, how to find it, how to set up and, kind of become a part of it, I guess. And so again, thank you for sitting down with me today. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me who you are. Where are we right now? Introduce where we are today, please.
My name is Anthony Rutherford. I am a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Carlos Mello, who is a 4th degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Carlos and I both are co-owners of Gilroy BJJ here in Gilroy, California. The school's been around since 2010 in one form or another. I think it got started out of the old DMV and was there for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
And now we reside above Tempo Restaurant in downtown Gilroy on Monterey Road, right in between 4th Street and 5th Street.
That's great location.
And so we're open 5 days a week, actually 6 days. We have a Saturday class for adults, Saturday mornings, but Monday through Friday, we have adult classes and kids classes as well. Okay. And so we have, for the adults, a lot of options. We have morning classes, we have midday classes right around lunchtime, and then we have evening classes. So a lot of classes to cater to different schedules with people who work overnights or they work in the middle of the day. We got something for everybody, no matter whether they're working or going to school. We like to provide our members with a lot of options.
That's cool. You mentioned options for different schedule types. Are there different options for maybe some elderly or people maybe over 50, 60, whatever that age is? Are there cutoffs for that as well? Is there special classes for people maybe with injuries or things like that? Is there anything that you kind of
no cutoff in age? Anybody can join. Doesn't matter how old they are. We have some members who are up there in age. We don't have any classes that are particularly reserved for older people. What we do is we have classes that incorporate all skill levels, and we have a membership that's so big that on any given class, there are other people who are going to be of the same skill level and the same place along their journey, where
you're able to cater to that,
pair them together.
Okay.
And then we always have multiple black belts on staff, like helping out with the class. So usually there's a head instructor who's teaching the class, but then there'll be at least another black belt or two that can walk around and help observe and like instruct and point out things that people are doing correctly or incorrectly. And so anybody who signs up to be a member, you can guarantee that when you come into class, there's going to be somebody who's just starting off learning jiu-jitsu as well, probably same height, same size, same weight, same age. So it's not like you're joining a class and everybody's so much bigger than you, or everybody's so much younger than you, or everybody's so much more experienced than you. Like the classes are so big that there's a partner for everybody.
Cool. Wow, that's great. That's great. We talked a little bit about, those demographics of people that come in, different differences and stuff like that. How did you get started into this? Because I know you and I have known each other for years and years, and I never knew that you were into, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu until one day I just started seeing you on social media, of course. And I start hearing about, oh man, Tony's, he's into Jiu-Jitsu. I'm looking on the, and you got first place, second place, first place. I'm like, what is going on? Tony is a beast. What's going on with this guy? Yeah. So can you tell people a little bit about your backstory? Where did you, how did you get started into this? Were you always a fighter? Or is it fighting? What is it?
No, what it was is when I was a teenager, And all through my 20s, I did a lot of partying. I like to party a lot.
Sure.
And anybody who knows me back then knows that I was a big partier.
Yeah, we all were.
Right. Yeah. All of our friends, they just party big time.
Right.
But as I got to my 30s, into my 30s, I didn't want to be doing that, like, partying all the time.
Yeah.
So I quit partying altogether. And I just had so much energy and so much time on my hands. I needed to find something to do. And I came upon Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I signed up and I fell in love with it immediately. And I just decided to make it like a priority in my life and just train it like every other day, no matter what, for, week in and week out, month after month, year after year. And there was a lot of parties and get-togethers and other functions and stuff that I missed out on and didn't go to because I just stayed in the gym.
You had to focus
and focused on trying to learn jiu-jitsu as well and as much as I could. And so I just hid away in the gym. It was my way to get away from, everybody else partying around me, right?
Yeah, be around people that were like-minded too. I'm sure you're in a place where other people like you want to focus on a skill and art and then get better and grow. So you're in that environment as you're looking back at the other environment where you're like, I've done that. I've been there.
Right.
That's not conducive to where I want to be and your goals. And so
it forces you to live a healthier lifestyle because you can't drink and you can't smoke and then get on the mat and try and, do battle with somebody and, be at your best. So it actually, if you love it, then it pushes you to clean up your act and be the best version of yourself.
Right on.
So I liked that. And so I just dedicated myself to like diving deep into the art. It's a martial art, but I consider it to just be an art in general. And there's just so much to it. It's so deep and so complicated that you could never know everything there is to know about doing jiu-jitsu. And so it never gets boring. And when you come into a class, it's never the same thing twice. And when you spar with people, it's always a different experience. And so for me, I can't sit still. I have ADHD, so I'm always bouncing all over the place. Yeah. And a martial art like this always just keeps my attention because it's always shifting from one thing to another.
Wow, yeah.
And so what I like to tell people is like, when you're doing jiu-jitsu against another person, it's like you're trying to solve a puzzle, like as if you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, but that Rubik's Cube is unsolving itself. It's unsolving the work that you did while you're trying to solve it. Wow, yeah. And then it's also trying to choke you out and break your arm, right?
Yeah.
So
right. To add another layer to the puzzle.
So it just is the most interesting thing that I've ever come across in my whole life. And I just dove deep into it. And, it's a tough endeavor to undertake. Most people quit. Most people wash out after a year or two, or maybe a little bit more, but most people don't like to get held down and get manhandled. Most people don't like to have their arm bent backwards and be nearly choked unconscious.
Right.
So most people that try it out, they go, forget this. I'd rather go home and sit on the couch and watch a movie and watch Netflix.
Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. So what do you think is the difference between someone like yourself who continues to come and train and get into those tough, vulnerable positions, and someone who quits? What's the difference? Is there a way to keep someone to bring them back or keep them? I mean, if they're going for a year, to me that sounds like a commitment, and for them to leave after a year, that seems like something. And I know it's probably you were just kind of giving a generalization there, but what's the difference between those two people, and then also how do you get someone who maybe did stop coming to come back? Is there a case like that where you've had that?
Yeah, we've had people who have quit, and then after a while they decide to come back. And some of those people, once they come back, they continue on indefinitely, and they realize, I guess, the mistake of leaving jiu-jitsu, and then they're committed for the rest of their life. There's some people who they quit, they come back, they do it for a little bit longer, and then they quit again, and then that's it. For me, I actually have a really high tolerance for being uncomfortable, like both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So like I could hack it. Most people don't, right?
Yeah.
Most people seek
Yeah.
comfort. Most people
That's true.
want everything to be nice and cool and easy.
Yeah, that's science. That's like biology right there, 101, right? The brain wants to find safety and comfort. And
Yeah.
so, like you said,
And I just thought it was really cool, like martial art. Like when I would watch videos of people doing jujitsu before I started, like it looked like magic. Like they're doing magic tricks.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
you would see somebody who's like in a bad position, and you're like, oh, this person is
Done.
done.
Yeah.
And then they slip out and flip the script, and they turn around, and then they're on the other person's back about to like
Wow.
break their arm.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
And so from the outsider looking in, it does look like somebody's like doing magic. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
learn that. But
Yeah.
you have to suck at first in order to get a level of proficiency where you're competent, and then push beyond that to where you're an expert.
Yes.
And it takes time. It takes a lot of time
Yeah.
because it's so deep and so complicated. And I think that, you know, we see it especially now with like people say this generation that's coming up now, but you know, there's still people from previous generation or our generation where doing something for a long time on end is just not something that people are really capable of doing, right?
Right.
Persevering and pushing through and continuing on,
Yeah.
especially with something as tough and dangerous as this.
Right. I think you hit it on the head for sure. Most people don't do the thing for long enough. Most people don't like how it feels to lose, to fail, you know, to be in that uncomfortable, you know, but like you said, I think anyone with success, anyone with a win has suffered many losses along that path. And yeah, I mean it is something that you have to learn, you have to either see or be instilled, you know, you kind of have to grow and figure out that, because nothing, you know, nothing worth doing comes easy, right?
Yeah.
Nothing worth your time comes easily, and you have to, you know, you have to face those challenges. I
Right.
think that's right on.
Yeah. You know, for many years, you know, I was the one who was held down and twisted up and folded up and submitted. And, you know, you got to have a love for it and a real interest in it. That'll keep you going. But then once you start to get good at it, you can see that it works. And then that gives you a little bit of juice to keep going.
Yeah.
And then once you hit that expert level, and the other thing is most people wash out. So as new people come in, they don't know anything. So then it's like, it's almost like, you know, most people have no idea how easy it is to control someone who, if you know what you're doing,
Right.
to manhandle and control another fully grown adult.
Right. What a trip. That's
But
crazy.
the other thing is if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to handle, you know, and just subdue another fully grown adult. Most people don't have any idea how difficult it can be to try and, you know, control someone or calm them down. So
Yes.
like, if you don't have any idea what you're doing, it's hard to hold someone down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you with them?
So take me back. You said for years. How many years? Do you remember how many years it took you to sort of get good?
So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 13 years.
13 years. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I
Wow.
started in the beginning of 2011.
Okay.
And I just got my black belt last September. So
Yeah.
12 and a half years in,
Yeah,
which
man.
is about the average of what it takes somebody
Wow.
to get their black belt.
Wow.
For a long time, when, you know, people would say, how long does it take to get a black belt in Brazilian
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu? People would say, oh, 10 years.
Right.
Because it was a nice round number.
Sure.
But people really didn't know. Like some people might get it a little bit sooner, some people might get it a little bit later. But there's actually a website that was started a couple of years ago, and it's for jiu-jitsu practitioners to put all their information in and say when they started, when they got their various belts. And so they have a statistics page that like tallies all the statistics.
Right.
And the statistic is that for the average practitioner, it takes 12 years.
12 years.
And that's because it's so deep and it's so complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn the basic stuff and have, you know, a very low level of understanding, but that's nowhere near like the top of what
Right.
you would need to know for all the situations that you
Might-
could end up in when you're physically tussling with somebody.
So take me back, right? You said 12 years it took you to become a black belt expert,
Yeah.
become a black belt. What about, do you remember that first like competitive win? The one that was like, yes, like I did it, or is there one that stands out? Is there a win where you defeated someone? Well, maybe you looked at the initial matchup and you were like, oh, I don't know, this is going to be tough. Or maybe it was someone who had beaten you in the past, anything like that? Is there one that stands out at all?
Well, so I competed a few times as a white belt, and I had some mixed results. Won one, lost one, and then at blue belt, which is the next belt level up, I had decided that I didn't want to compete, and that I wasn't a competitor, and that I was fine with just like really getting
learning.
good in the gym and just being that guy that's really
Sure.
badass in the gym, and everybody knows it. Anybody who comes and visits the gym would get rolled up and be like, who is that guy?
How funny. Yeah.
But
was that a protection thing for yourself? Was that like on purpose? Like, I want to do that so I don't have to face the outside kind of sort of challenge? Is that something that you...
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, because competition, you can get good at jiu-jitsu, but competition is something completely different. The intensity is turned up, so the volume's turned up to 11.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot faster, a lot harder, a lot more aggressive. So you can be good at jiu-jitsu, but when it comes to competing, it's like the people are out there trying to kill each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not ready for it, you'll get steamrolled. A lot of people do when they sign up and do. So you have to acclimate to that intensity. I mean, you're literally like in a fight. I never was like into dealing with that kind of pressure and that kind of intensity. And I was like, I don't know that I want to. And so for my whole blue belt, I did not compete at all.
Interesting.
But then I became a purple belt, and I started getting really good at jiu-jitsu at purple belt. And I kind of recognized it. And I thought to myself, like, I don't want to just hide away in the gym and just be really great and be in the gym. I was like, I want to go out there and prove that, for my age and my height, my weight, that I can hang with anybody. In my division, and that I want to put my jiu-jitsu to the test and prove it to the world, prove to everybody else in the jiu-jitsu community that I belong here. I deserve to be here. Like, I'm not, the thing is, you can't be a poser in jiu-jitsu. Like, you either know it or you don't,
and you'll find out as soon as you hit the mat.
And so it was just a way to test my jiu-jitsu skills against other people who are signing up to compete, and they're trying to rip your head off and tear your arm out and do all of that. And so to prove that my jiu-jitsu, prove to myself and everybody else that my jiu-jitsu was legit and on par with everybody else. And so at brown belt is when I started to get real good. I never won a competition at purple belt until like the very end of my purple belt career. I won like the last 2 competitions at purple belt, and that's kind of when I made that leap. But I lost a lot of competitions throughout purple belt while I was reacclimating myself to competition. And then brown belt is when I really like took off, and I was winning gold after gold after gold. And so as a black belt, my first 2 competitions I lost because I ran into some monsters, guys who are just like the best in the world. And
really?
I'm not there. I mean, my jiu-jitsu is really good, but these guys' jiu-jitsu is great. But one of the things jiu-jitsu's taught me is that you don't give up, you don't pack it in, you don't throw in the towel, you don't call it quits, you keep trying. And so I signed up for another competition, and I won. My 3rd competition at black belt, I won gold medal.
Wow.
Tapped out my opponent 2 times. It was only 1 opponent, so we did a best 2 out of 3.
Nice.
And I was able to tap him out twice. I made a mistake in one of the matches where I was gonna win it, but I kind of went for something I shouldn't have had. I got off balance, and he was able to score some points on me and take the match. But I was able to win my first gold medal at black belt, and so that felt pretty good. And I'm looking forward to doing more competitions and winning more gold medals, and just continuing to prove my jiu-jitsu.
Nice, dude. Nice. That's very cool. Tell me a little bit about your. You mentioned that you how you were partying back in that day, but tell me a little bit about how you grew up. I forget. If I'm not mistaken, you moved here to this area kind of in high school, or tell me about your upbringing a little bit. What's your just a little.
So glimpse? I was born and raised in San Jose,
okay.
But I have family, lots of family that lived here in Gilroy. So I was always down here like quite often hanging out with them. So I've always been down here in Gilroy in one form or another. In high school, I moved to Gilroy and attended Gilroy High School.
Yeah.
And was able to make a ton of friends that I'm still friends with to this day.
Nice.
And after high school, moved around to different parts of the state and the country. I lived in Austin, Texas for a little bit, and lived down in Santa Barbara for a little bit. But Gilroy's a special place. It's a special place in my heart, and I always have seen myself as a Gilroy native, even though I've not, but so many people know me, and I know so many people, and it's like it's home. So I always wanted to get back here, and it's great to just be actually setting down roots in Gilroy for the future, foreseeable future, and also be contributing to the community and providing this service of teaching other people.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Actually, yeah. I mean, I definitely have an admiration for you and what you do. Definitely, the fact that you're a business owner here in the community. The fact that you are, like you said, you're a teacher of things. Your values that you're kind of presenting, and that you also, you exude those things. I'm sure you do it every day. I know you're a family guy now. So I'm sure you're teaching your son and, and doing some stuff with them as well. So that's really, really cool. Is there anything else that you do within the community? Are you involved in any other way? Do you guys go to different events here? Do you guys offer anything specifically is there anything specific that's kind of...
So we do offer membership discounts to law enforcement officers, where we have a lot of police officers who train with us.
Okay,
we are really big on and believe in training police officers to help them do their job. So if they ever get into hand-to-hand combat with somebody that they're dealing with, that they know exactly what to do. So, and also a discount to veterans, right? We're a big believer in supporting veterans and helping them out, whether they have PTSD or other issues that stem from active duty, and they're looking for a way to find some camaraderie that may be missing from their lives, and give them some physical activity that will keep their mind focused on something else other than maybe what may be troubling them. Because when you're doing jiu-jitsu, another cool thing about it is that you don't have time to think about your troubles or your woes, think about your bills or your significant other being mad at you for one reason or another, whatever it might be. You're just on the mat and somebody is trying to choke you out or bend your limb backwards. You need to be focused, and your mind needs to be 100% occupied on figuring out how to get out.
That's cool.
It's like problem solving at the highest level in the most immediate sense with real consequences. And so, if people come in here and it's like meditation, or their way to get away, the whole world disappears, and they're in this little space for an hour or an hour and a half, and they're learning stuff that they can apply right away, and their mind is taken to another space where they don't have to
think about that other stuff that they have going on. They're able to focus in, like you said, a meditative state where you're in the moment, right? You're physically in the moment, mentally in the moment, able to just kind of probably decompress, de-stress, and at least, focus in whatever stress level that brings, but in a good way, in a therapeutic way, probably.
I imagine it's it's not if you're a surfer and you're jumping on a surfboard and you're trying to ride a wave, you got to be all in on focusing on that. You can't be
thinking
my
about
taxes are due.
That's funny. Yeah, man. I mean, there's a few guys that I work with that do jiu-jitsu. And so, I definitely, and those are some of the things that they bring. And those are some of the things that they bring up when they talk about, because obviously doing what I do for a living, there's a lot of things and stresses that come with that. And so they purposely go to just kind of get that stuff out of their head. So, very cool, man. That's very cool stuff. So what exactly are we looking at here when we talk about this place. It's not a gym, right? Because some people probably think of jujitsu, and I would say the layperson probably thinks, oh, it's karate, right? I mean, most people, it's taekwondo. It is a martial art. But what are some of the main differences? You're not kicking and punching. It's not. Is it stand up?
So there is a stand-up component to jiu-jitsu, and there's always time allocated to learning about how to get the fight to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
As jiu-jitsu practitioners, we mainly focus on learning ground fighting and ground techniques, but you have to know how to get the fight to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you want to get the fight to the ground is because it reduces the impact of punches or kicks that somebody you're fighting can generate.
Right.
When somebody's standing up and they can wind up with a fist or a punch or winding up with a kick, it can be dangerous. You get hit with a kick or a punch in the right spot, you could get your lights put out, get knocked out unconscious. Yeah. But if you can learn to get in and grab your opponent and take them down to the ground, now they can still hit you, they can still kick you, but the impact's reduced, so you're probably not going to get knocked unconscious. And then if you know what you're doing and they don't, it's very easy to just be all over them and to grab them in a way that it makes them want to cry mercy and give up.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. So the beauty about jiu-jitsu is that you can practice it at 100% intensity and not hurt yourself. Theoretically, there's accidents that happen, but you're not going to get your orbital socket broken. You're not going to get your nose broken or your jaw broken or something like that. You're not going to get your leg snapped in half. And so that's the beauty of it, is that you can train it with 100% intensity, like it's a real fight, and get the feeling for what it's like for another fully grown adult trying to just,
like you said, choke you out and
hurt you.
Yeah, right on.
Whereas with the striking arts, you can't train Muay Thai or boxing 100% and be slugging it out like you're in an actual fight or you're like in an actual ring.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So people really like that. You get acclimated to that intensity. And so most adults don't fight in general, at least here in America. Right? You can go your whole life without getting into a fight. You can, somebody wants to fight you, you can just turn away, walk away, go home at night, get in your bed and sleep well, not being hurt. But usually two guys with big egos that are angry and yelling at each other, that's when the fights happen. Have
you had to use your jiu-jitsu in a situation like that where you're out in public and doing your thing or something and it comes to some guy's ego or something? And
I have only one time, and I don't want to when the thing about learning jiu-jitsu and fighting is you realize how much you don't know, and you realize how much other people don't know. But if you get in a fight with somebody, maybe they do know a lot and you just don't know it, right? So they could also be a jiu-jitsu practitioner.
That's true.
Or they could be a really great boxer or really good at Muay Thai.
That's
and
true.
You don't want to be fighting with somebody on, in a parking lot where there's a bunch of concrete and around and, stone walls and
dangerous, hazardous things around.
Yeah. Concrete benches for you to hit your head on. So you actually become more, docile or more relaxed, understanding you can get seriously hurt
or seriously hurt someone else, I guess, too.
Yeah, you could seriously hurt somebody else. I think jiu-jitsu practitioners are generally pretty kind, meaning that if they get into a fight, they'll subdue somebody, but they won't necessarily just break somebody's arm to break it. They're just looking to kind of end the fight and prove to somebody look, I can hold you down forever if I want to. But I think most people who get in fights that are hotheads, they don't know what they don't know. So they're just let's do it. Let's start throwing fists. Let's get in a fight and tussle. But most people who actually fight, I would say this is true about boxers and people who practice Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, is you kind of don't want to get in a fight because you know how rugged it could be. Right. Yeah, I mean, imagine scraping your knee across asphalt or getting your face scraped on asphalt, because even if you know Jiu-Jitsu,
you're still working against.
You're still if you take someone down to the ground and you're all over them, you're still rolling on the concrete. You can get scraped up and bloody and stuff like that. So if you're smart, you're not a hothead. You don't want to fight,
right?
And you know what it is to be in an altercation where it's going 100%. So
That's cool.
Yeah. So we do teach people to get the fight to the ground, how to subdue somebody. Our facility it's nice and a lot of mat space, so we're able to teach big classes like I was telling you about, and have lots of people on the mat, and so you get the experience of utilizing your jiu-jitsu against somebody who's bigger, heavier, smaller, faster, all of that.
Are there any promotions you guys have coming up? I mean, we're in the middle of March right now. Do you have anything coming up that you'd like to promote or share with, with the viewers, with the watchers, people in the community?
We do internal promotions for the school, right? As people come in to train week in and week out, and they make progress. We hold promotion ceremonies to recognize people's progress along their jiu-jitsu journey, and so we usually do those twice a year, once in the wintertime and once around the summertime. So we've got one coming up in a few months. But yeah, the progress it can seem like it's very slow.
Sure.
What I was told is that, like, when you show up to train, it's like a drop of water in a bucket.
Yeah.
And on a daily basis, that drop of water doesn't seem like much, but after you have been doing it for years, it really adds up. And so that's the other component about people kind of washing out, is people like to be rewarded with awards and accolades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in jiu-jitsu, they come really slow.
Yep.
And so compared to other traditional martial arts like karate or taekwondo, where they may give them out faster, in jiu-jitsu, it's just so difficult to get good at right off the bat, that the promotions happen at a slower pace.
Okay.
And so you get forced to learn patience.
Yeah.
Learn patience, right? Not only just the physical stuff of learning how to defend yourself, subdue another person, perseverance through losses and getting beat on a daily basis, but also patience, because not everything comes when you want it.
Yeah.
But it'll come, right? The time passes anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you hit the eject button and pull out, and you say, this isn't moving fast enough for me how I would like it, then you're selling yourself short, right? And so if you just keep your nose to the grindstone and you keep plugging away at it, and you have belief in the process, those belts, those recognition of your progress, they come eventually.
That's cool. Yeah. Very cool, dude. So as we wrap it up, is there anything that you think you want to, because like you said, you are a member of this community here. You've been so for a long time. You operate this business, you operate this dojo with some of the, best qualified and physically, gifted people, police officers. What else? What would you say to someone who was thinking about it? They're on the fence about jiu-jitsu. What would you say to someone like that?
I would just say, like I said, I've never found anything more interesting than jiu-jitsu. It's so deep, and there's so much to it that you could never stop learning. You'll never be bored when you come into class. It'll help you learn perseverance and to push through struggles. I think that it will help you if you're struggling with sort of like I said, partying, drinking, smoking, maybe even overeating or not eating properly.
Yeah.
It will push you to clean those things up and be a better version of yourself. It will make you want to work on your health, being better conditioned, and even make you want to, strength train if you don't, so that you could be the best version of yourself on the mat, because it becomes addictive when you start to get good and you actually learn a little bit, and you start tapping people out. You're like, you want more of that.
Sure.
And so
it's like a dopamine or something.
Yeah. So you want to go to bed early. You want to eat clean and healthy. You want to refrain from, drinking to excess. And so that's huge too. And, if you are, even if you're like, you're lonely or you don't have a lot of friends, like, this is a place where there's like camaraderie and like a community, and you can come in and you'll see people like over and over again and talk to them and learn their life stories. They'll learn yours. They'll ask you how your day was. They'll ask you about that thing that you mentioned, a couple weeks ago. They'll ask you how your health is and stuff like that. So it's a bit like a pre-built-in community where, especially as like me and you are middle-aged men nowadays.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't know the
Statistic.
causes behind it, but like middle-aged men is like, that's the bulk of our student base. We have some younger guys in their 20s and 30s, and we have a large kids program. But I understand that guys in their middle ages, like, they lose touch with their friends,
Start to isolate a little bit. Is that what you're?
yeah, they might isolate a little bit, and maybe they don't have much communication with other guys around their age. And so that's an issue. I've read about it several times. And so I really believe in having like a community where you can show up and see people who, are just like you, and feel like you have a purpose, something to go to, and there's other people there that are working on it too. So that pushes you. And, are sitting at home with nothing to do, and you don't eat right. Maybe you drink a little too much. You don't feel like you have purpose, like jiu-jitsu.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's a great invitation, a great way to definitely wrap things up. Man, you sold me. You got me thinking like I need to sign up today. I mean, gosh, dude, this place is great, man. Yeah. You were great. I really appreciate you sitting down with us today and telling me a little bit about jiu-jitsu. And I wish nothing but the best. I'm sure, you guys are going to continue to do great things. If you ever need anything, of course, let me know. I'm happy to, be here for you. And I'm glad you and I are a text away. I'm glad you and I have been bros for so long.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.